first time. It's the wonderful thing about technology is this is the first time I've actually gotten to see Jason other than a picture. I did kind of Google stalk him for a quick second, so I could find out what was going on as far as his company is concerned. But just very pleased to have one of our chamber members step up. We were going to do this, like Juliet said, live, but we thought, obviously in the current conditions, we can't do that live, that this would be an awesome way to do this, especially since we're using technology. So just as a matter of introduction, I'm going to use your first slide, Jason, to introduce you. U.S. Navy veteran from 96 to 2000. He has a top secret government clearance. So right now, when I read that, I was like, he might have some stuff on here that can tell us, our blood types and things. I don't know what that, those things mean. I'm just joking. But if you're in IT, I'm a former IT guy, even though I sell commercial real estate. So I will just tell you that all of his credentials are top notch as far as the certifications. We really have an expert today as it pertains to information security and data analytics and things of that nature. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Jason. Jason, the stage is yours, sir.
All right. I appreciate it, Kevin. Thank you. Yeah, it's glad everybody, had the chance to jump on. I think, we'll go through this. I'll probably take a little bit of a different direction considering everything that's going on now. And just like when I do these live, I try to make it as interactive as possible. I think to really understand proper information security and cybersecurity really has to be a discussion.
Yeah. And Jason, two things. One, just let me know next slide. And then two, if you guys want to ask questions while Jason is going, please feel free to type those into the chat. And at the very end, I'll unmute everyone if they want to ask specific questions. So I forgot to say that. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I was going to kind of bring that up. Yeah, definitely feel free to interrupt or drop a question in the chat. We'll try to definitely get to as many of those as possible, if not all of them. And if we need to take anything offline, one-on-one, I'd be more than happy to do that. And I'll also share my contact information in the chat in a few minutes. So thank you again, Kevin, for the introduction. I am the founder and chief security officer of Triad Cybersecurity. I also have a IT management company called Elevated Technologies that's been around for 14 years. And then I'm also the founder of Cybersecurity Insurance Group, which is an insurance agency that focuses solely on cybersecurity and privacy insurance. I'm also the author of Small Business, A Hacker's Playground, which is a book that was published last year sometime. That's really it was written for the small business owner, really kind of breaking down the complex cyber threats in a way that anyone can understand them, and then also learn, certain tactics and strategies that they can use to protect their business against those cyber threats. Because there's still a lot of education to be done out there in the small business community around mindset and, getting some of these business owners to realize that they are truly a target. It's not, some guy in a hoodie in his mom's basement going after you. It's more of an automated tool, just looking for some vulnerabilities and misconfigurations in your company's network that they can take advantage of. And as soon as they find out, that, they'll definitely make an attempt. In addition to, obviously, a lot of what's going on currently is, the phishing and the social engineering and really kind of taking advantage of human beings, which I think is what we'll probably talk the most about today. I think it's right now it's extreme importance. So yeah, just a few stats. I usually don't do a lot of boring stats, but I think these are fairly important. 1 in 5 small businesses, will suffer a cyber breach this year. 81% of all breaches happen to small to medium-sized businesses. And I believe the last one, 90%. I'll start with an email. And I would almost venture a guess that these numbers might actually increase now with the COVID-19 transition that we've had to make to working from home. I think the hackers, cyber criminals, they're well aware of the vulnerabilities in small businesses. And now that small businesses have sent everyone to work from home, and in some cases people are working from their home computers, not necessarily a business computer that might be monitored and managed a little bit better. These guys know that, so they know that if it might be a little bit easier to get in or take advantage of a home computer system, knowing that there's a path to the business because of the remote access required for people to get their jobs done, these days while they're at home. So we definitely need to stay vigilant. Oh, that's you, Kevin. All right, cool. So yeah, this is where I kind of open it up a little bit, especially when in person. If anyone has any stories, questions that they'd like to share, now would be a great time. If anybody's seen certain phishing scams that are super legitimate that they would want to share with other people on the call, or if they've been through something worse like a ransomware outbreak. Anybody?
I just unmuted everyone, so or at least I tried to. But if anyone has any war stories, feel free to chime in here. All right. Well, I will say this, Jason. So I'm a commercial real estate broker, and I have had 2 attempts with my clients on relatively large scale, $3-4 million properties where we go under contract, and the title industry has been hit pretty hard with people sending spoofed emails to have them wire the earnest money. Typically, earnest money on a deal like that is anywhere from say $20,000 to $50,000. And I just recently had 2 weeks ago, before this COVID stuff happened, where my client got a spoof email as we were going under contract. I don't know I don't think it was my email that they were sniffing around, but it had just enough information in it to seem valid. It just happened to be the wrong title company. And so she sent it to me saying, hey, I thought, this is this title company versus that title company. And I was able to catch it. So that's been pretty prevalent here lately in our industry, to the point where now most title companies are now saying call to verify before you wire funds, because they are getting into the mail systems and putting enough information about the property or the legal description or something that makes you really feel like it's really. So to me, that's another level than just the Nigerian uncle and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so exactly. Yeah, it's moved well beyond the Nigerian print scam. And to your point, we work with several title companies, and I've seen that exact situation as well. With one of our title companies, they're actually down in Wharton. Very, very exact similar case. They were actually headed into closing. It was like a $3 million land deal, and someone was sitting watching the emails, and as they were getting ready to close, they sent an email with an all of a sudden change in the wiring instructions for the down payment. And luckily, from what I understand, on the buyer's side, one of the people that were involved just happened to be an IT guy, and he was able to kind of catch it in the act. I mean, otherwise, yeah, that down payment for, I'm sure a large sum of money could have been gone. So,
and I'm saying this for commercial deals. It's happening residentially.
Absolutely. It is anything they can do to extort money, whether it's commercial.
And then I have a question came up on the chat.
Hackers, are you inviting hackers or something in higher ed?
Is that a question or?
No.
Hold on. I think that we just might have been catching some background. Jason, hold on. All right. I did get a question via chat, and the chat question was, did those scammers use DocuSign? If you're asking me that, no, in this particular case they didn't, but I don't know if you want to speak to just DocuSign and all of the different signing.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some really well-crafted DocuSign phishing emails. They're really kind of in an effort, to steal any kind of information, that they can. Obviously, DocuSign is one of the most popular ones because of the type of information usually exchanged, through the DocuSign system. So, one of the biggest things, if you receive a DocuSign email that maybe you weren't expecting or just doesn't quite look just right, there's a couple of real quick ways to determine if it's a phishing email versus a legitimate. And that's one, obviously, to look at the reply to address at the top of the email. The name may match because that's very easy to spoof, but the actual email address that it come from is not so easy. Some people can do it, but not all. So it's really a quick way to look. And if that looks out of place, that it's most likely a phishing email. Or if in the body of the email, if there's a link to take you, say, to the DocuSign document, and if you just hover your mouse over the link, especially like, for example, if you use Outlook, down in the bottom left corner, it will actually expose where that link would take you without you having to click on it. And that's another really quick and easy way to kind of determine if it's a phishing email or not. But yeah, but DocuSign is definitely one of the more spoofs out there.
So to that point, the second example I'll use is that I teach at Prairie View A&M University, which is part of the A&M system, and they have been recently, as of last week, received a spoof email from my dean that had her name, had her signature, and if I had not done what you just said, which was hover over her email address to see that it was her name .pvamu@gmail. Instead of and she was asking for some information that just seemed kind of weird, and so they've attacked our university system as well. And again, just this level of sophistication, just to know enough information to make you think that it's legitimate. So that hovering over is something I do almost on, even when I receive anything from anyone now, I'll hover over to see what that link address is.
Yeah, almost becomes a habit.
Right.
And it does. I mean, and people really, kind of need to slow down and really look, because, some of these spoofs, they may just be one single letter off the email address. Some are blatantly incorrect, but some are so close, you really kind of have to be paying a little bit closer attention to know that it's a spoof. And that's one thing that I think there's a place later in the presentation where I talk about, verification and slowing down. In your case, Kevin, is picking the phone up and calling the dean just to verify that, hey, is this legit?
Exactly what I did.
So I think we can go ahead and move to the next slide. What we got.
And guys, if you have questions, please feel free to type them in the chat as we go along.
Okay, so yeah, perfect segue into the phishing example. So a lot of the more common ones are emails from the boss, the CEO of the company, excuse me, asking for Google Play gift cards, or
sorry about that.
There you go. No, that's okay. Or Visa gift cards, and again, the domain names may look very similar, may just have either a letter removed or a letter added, so it's a little bit harder to detect, or very similar names. So again, it's always good to verify, because I have a kind of a real life story that I like to share when it comes to email phishing actually corresponding with a cyber criminal and the inability to slow down and verify. So it was a small business, about 15 to 20 employees, and one of the ladies in the office received an email from the CEO of the company. His name was perfectly spoofed, but the reply to address was crazy off. It didn't even come close. But the email was a Google Play gift card scam, asking this lady to go out and buy 6 $500 Google Play gift cards. And when she got the cards, scratch the code off on the back, take a picture, put it in the email back so he could then send the information out to a client. So she asked, I'd be more than happy to go get the email or the Google Play gift cards for you. I just need the company credit card. He's like, well, I'm in a meeting. Now, I will mention this is one of the first times I actually seen a live correspondence back and forth between, you know, a cyber criminal and a potential victim. Usually they just send it out, hope for the best. If, you know, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But this was a pretty long back and forth. And so the CEO asked her, you know, go out, get whatever you can with your personal money. The company will reimburse you. I just need to really get it done. It's important. I've got to get this out to our client. And she's like, well, I don't, you know, I just don't have that kind of money. And again, he's like, get whatever you can. You know, this is super important. And at that point, she got overly frustrated. She sent a reply back about, you know, how the company sucks and the CEO sucks. And you know, she was told if she worked hard, everything would be okay. You know, she has 5 kids and she's really just trying to make it. And there's no way to treat anybody. And she quit her job.
Wow.
And, you know, and I kind of tell that story, you know, abbreviated a little bit, you know, just to say that, you know, if she would have just taken a few steps to slow down, because again, the reply to address was way off. There was broken English in the email. It was a little bit hard to pick up on, but you could see it if you were really reading it. But the crazy thing about it was, again, it's a 15 or 20 person company. And the CEO he was just down the hall in his office. I mean, she could have got up and just walked down and kind of verified, or, you know, picked up the phone, text him, whatever. But just that, you know, she was busy and we just started having this conversation, and it got her, you know, pushed over the edge, and she ended up, quitting her job.
One of the things you have on this slide, the hacked webcam laptop, my wife is always concerned about that. I have a deal here in my office. I don't have it in front of me for some reason, where now I put it on my camera.
Yeah.
And so how prevalent is that? Because I had the Ring system or Blink system at the house, and I still have it on the outside. I had a couple internal cameras, and she politely told me to remove them.
Yeah.
Well, politely, you know, it's all relative. But so how prevalent is that, and what's a way to prevent that?
So kind of on both points, I'll talk a little bit about the webcam stuff, and then also about actual camera systems, where I've got some stories there too. You know, I think, you know, hacking a true webcam and turning it on and watching, you know, whatever's in front of it, like we are today, you know, those days I think are pretty long gone. What I see mostly now is phishing emails where you know, a bad actor will say that they have access to your webcam to scare you to pay them money. And then a lot of them, it's called the sextortion scam. It's an email that says that they hacked into your webcam. They have video of you watching things that you shouldn't and doing things that you shouldn't. And if you don't pay them, they'll send the video clip out to all your clients or colleagues, friends, family, whatever the case is. So it's just a way for them to kind of strike fear into getting people to you know, to pay money in Bitcoin, so it's untraceable. But it is pretty good practice if you're not using it. I know just either a Post-it note over the webcam, or they actually make devices now that you can stick to your laptop and slide back and forth to cover cover the webcam. So I mean, it's not a bad idea. And I don't think that there's too many people, again, out there, you know, hacking webcams to watch what's behind it. But I mean, it is possible to do so if you get the wrong type of virus or malware, you know, onto your system. But with the actual home camera is a little bit different. You know, they're actively hacking those, whether it be you know, Nest, now, you know, Google Nest, Ring, you name it. There's a bunch of vendors out there. And what they're doing is they know that, you know, people predominantly have pretty weak passwords, you know, on accounts like that. So if I can go to the Nest website, and let's say that, you know, I've purchased your email address and associated password from the dark web because of a website in the past got hacked that had your credentials, like say, for example, LinkedIn, back when they got breached in 2016, a lot of business emails and associated passwords got leaked out to the dark web for purchase. And I'm thinking, okay, well, if I have Kevin's email address and his LinkedIn password, what are the chances that same password might get me into his corporate email, or maybe his bank account, or maybe now his Nest account. And actually one of the guys that works for me kind of went through this with his Nest Cam. They hacked into his account through the website, which then in turn gave them access to all the devices in his Nest account in his home. And one night they turned his thermostat up to like 90 degrees. And then a few nights later, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, he heard a voice like coming from his daughter's bedroom, and he ran down. Obviously no one was in the house, but there were people just kind of talking and laughing through the interior camera in his daughter's bedroom, telling him, it might be a good idea for him to change his password.
Okay, so I didn't know I was going to be scared on this today's call, but appreciate that, Jason. But you're making us aware. So again, if I'm going ahead, because I have questions as well, because I use technology because of my background in technology. I use it a lot. So you brought up two things that I wanted to ask you. And again, guys, if y'all have questions, feel free to put them in the chat. But passwords, a gazillion of them. I mean, literally a gazillion of them, and especially passwords that want to, change every 30 days or every 45 days or whatever the provision is for that. What is a good password will be my first question. And then where can I keep those passwords safely? Because I just, you can't remember every password to everything. You can't. If you are, you're a savant. So
I agree, 100%. Great question. So to answer the question about passwords, nowadays with today's technology and the speed of computers, giving hackers a little bit quicker ability, to hack shorter passwords as far as character length goes. I think they're now saying don't have anything that's less than 12, maybe even 16 characters. Obviously, make them complex, mixing in uppercase, lowercase, numbers, special characters. But when you start getting into, 16 character passwords that have, all these different character sets in them, they are hard to remember. And especially if you're following best practices not to use that same password everywhere you go. Because if that password were leaked out, you could imagine how many different things someone could get into. So there comes in password managers. So I use LastPass myself. And it is basically a browser add-in. So, Chrome is my choice of browser. So there's a little LastPass integration into it
and that's LASTPASS?
LAST, yes. Mm-hmm. LASTPASS. So what you can do is with the extension in the browser, and let's say, for example, you go to your bank website, put in your credentials to log in, it'll pop up and says, do you want me to remember this password? And you can say yes or no. It also has the ability to create passwords for you. So the best way to use it is to let it do that. And you can define the type of password you want, length, complexity, and it will just automatically generate something that makes absolutely no sense. There's no logic to it, but it's very complex. And then it will save that password as the password, say, for your bank website. So the next time you visit the website, it will just autofill your username and your password, and it'll log you in. Now, the one thing that I always caution people is if you use a solution like LastPass and it has all of your passwords in it, make sure that the master password that they make you set up is something extremely complex, but you can remember. Because if you forget that master password, you don't get back in. Now all your passwords, are kind of vault that you can't access. So now you have to go through and reset everything. And we all know kind of what a pain that can be. Sorry, I saw something pop up in the chat, but
Yeah, can't recommend password managers enough. Caleb is amening you, basically saying
yeah,
amen.
they're an awesome tool. But what I do is I recommend people obviously enable multi-factor authentication, say on your LastPass account, and keep it logged off when you're not using it. So if you sit down, you get your laptop out, log into LastPass, so then it can pass the credentials to the websites that you're going to. But when you're done, just like anything else, log off, because if you don't, and you have that continuously open connection to your LastPass account, and your laptop gets compromised some way, then they could easily just jump into your LastPass vault and have access to all your passwords. So
let me ask you this. So the conundrum and we have a couple questions that are coming up.
Sure.
The conundrum that I always run into is, so first and foremost, I use the Chrome as well, but I use Chrome's remember feature, which is probably not the most secure. So now I'm feeling some kind of way about that. But what happens is if I log on via my Chrome, which I can share with all the different devices I have, my office computer, my home computer, my laptop, it's great. But when I get to my phone and I'm logging on to my bank or whatever, and I have this complicated, does LastPass or some of these password managers go between your desktop and your device?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And you can tell it in the LastPass settings, once you set your account up, to extend the sync out to a mobile device. You can turn that on or off. I had it off for a while, but then I realized how much I actually use.
Right.
So it's a little, with the iPhones, it's a little bit tricky, but it's not terribly difficult to kind of get going on the iPhone. I'm sure Android's the same way, but it does have the ability to kind of extend that vault out to the phones. So
we have a question from Juliet. What is the best way to secure a network and all smart devices? Would it be a VPN? And if so, what would you recommend?
Like securing access to the corporate network remotely? Is that the question?
Hold on, let me just unmute Juliet.
Yeah, just get a little bit of clarification.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, from working remotely, VPNs are great. I'm glad you brought that up, because that's definitely something I wanted to talk about with everything going on today. So VPNs are extremely secure. Pretty much every VPN you use has some sort of level of encryption behind it. So therefore, it's extremely hard, say, to break in and a hacker actually take control or jump in the middle of a session through a VPN. So you can rest assured that they're safe. What I caution people with in using VPNs, especially now that everybody's trying to work from home, is just be careful about the device that you're using at home to connect a VPN back to your.
And just for those that don't know, can you just tell them what VPN? Because some people.
Oh yeah, so VPN is a virtual private network. So it basically builds a encrypted tunnel from, say, your home to your business. So therefore, it's basically like running an extremely long cable from your home to your business. And once the VPN is connected, you can access your shared data, printers, anything that's on your company's network. You would have access to it, because now you're basically an extension of that company network. But that's where a little bit of security concerns come in, because you have that wide open tunnel straight from your house to your business. And if you're using, say, your home computer, and it's the home computer that your kids use and other people use, and again, it's not necessarily an asset that your company provided you with that might not have all the bells and whistles when it comes to security, like most businesses have, or at least you hope they have. Anything that you get on that computer that you accidentally download or click, has the ability to go through that tunnel from your home to your business. So you just want to be very cautious. And I've actually done some videos for some of my IT company friends, telling them that it might be a good idea to turn off the ability to access your home internet while the VPN is connected. So when you connect the VPN, you can only do work stuff. And then when you disconnect it, then you can get on YouTube or whatever you want from home. So there's a little bit of security there. And just, again, almost like LastPass, when you're not using it, disconnect it, because you don't want to just kind of leave it constantly running, which a lot of them have the ability to do. So it's a very secure mechanism to work remotely. It just has to be used properly.
Great. All right. I'm going to continue with your slides here.
Yeah. So
guys, again, if you have questions, feel free to send them on the chat. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So this is just some examples of kind of what we've been talking about. You can see the John Wade. If you look at his email address, it's primeddownhole.com, and where it actually should be just be Prime Downhole, which is a drilling company. So just that one extra letter, but it kind of blends together, and it's kind of easy to miss. And Kevin, if you wanted to shoot through a couple more, it actually starts to point things out. And of course, the from name, there's no to section. So that's another thing to look at. If you get an odd email and you look and your name or your email address is not actually in a to line, so you can definitely tell it was a blanket or a mass, spam email. That definitely helps detect a few things. And I think the bottom one, definitely not specific. Yeah, poor grammar. And I think that one is correct name but incorrect email. So that's kind of the biggest things to look at. And some of this stuff a little bit easier to do in person, but look at the email address, the reply to address, hover over the links. But I think really the biggest thing, because some of these are getting pretty sophisticated in their look and their feel. They're coming from vendors that you use or products that you use. So I always tell people, if there's just that one slight bit of doubt, pick up the phone, stop what you're doing, call, because I've just seen, so many cases, not necessarily people losing their jobs. I mean, that's an interesting case, but I've seen a lot of money disappear, because of these, with people not verifying and they wire money, or they pay an invoice, or or they click a link and
I forgot her name on Shark Tank.
Barbara Corcoran. So same thing, 400 grand gone, just because her accounting people didn't slow down. And
her accounting, for those of you that don't know, Barbara Corcoran on Shark Tank, she sent 400, or her company sent $400,000 to, I don't know if it was Russia or it was I forgot the country, but $400,000 her bank to on this particular deal, and they just were going like fast, like you said, according to the news report. She did eventually get it back, supposedly, because I guess she's so popular that people got scared and they sent it back to her.
But getting it back is obviously the hard thing, and that's really where cyber insurance kind of comes into play. And there's another slide in the future that talks a little bit about that, but I can just kind of plug it real quick. If you're not familiar with cybersecurity insurance, for your business, it's an insurance policy that allows you to recoup financial loss due to some type of cyber attack. Like, for example, in Kevin's example, if that deal, would have gotten sideways and they would have wired the money to the wrong place at closing for that real estate deal, then if the title company, if they were the ones that made the mistake, if they would have had a cybersecurity insurance policy, there's a good chance, they could have filed a claim and recouped that money. If there's business income loss, let's say ransomware gets on your network and you're able to recover from it, so you don't necessarily lose any data, but you've lost, a day, 2 days, 3 days worth of productivity, which means you've lost that revenue. You can file a claim to recoup some of that through business income loss, due to a cyber attack. So in Barbara's case, if she would have had the right policy and not been as popular, the part of cybersecurity insurance is it covers involuntary transfer of funds. So basically, if you're a victim of social engineering and it costs money, you can potentially get that money back through an insurance claim. But just like any insurance claim, it'll go through an adjuster, and there will be some research that has to be done into the situation, and of course then they'll approve or deny the claim. But it's very inexpensive for what it is when you look at coverages of $1 million, $2 million. So if a business doesn't have it, and especially now as what we're dealing with, and you have businesses have so many people working from home, that opens up so many more vulnerabilities to your business that you may not necessarily be aware of. If you don't have it, it's something that I would highly recommend at least looking into, getting a quote, and just kind of going from there.
Got you.
Social engineering. So this is kind of the blanket term for everything that we've been talking about. This is your phishing emails or social engineering. There's new terms coming.
Phone service through the internet in different markets. And in Tennessee, and someone had ordered a phone in my name and changed my password to my account. And so I'm sure with baby in the background, I mean, like, that just reminded me of that. So that was so easy.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. I mean, people don't think about an innocent person calling, that it could be someone like this. And that's why I tell people, outside of the email, you definitely pay attention to the email you're receiving, but it's well worth, talking to whoever answers the phone in your business, receptionist, whoever, or if it's everyone, depending on what your policies are. Just be very careful of the information you're giving out over the telephone, because it could be very simple. They could just call up and ask, hey, I was just verifying that, Susan is the accounting person. Oh, well, no, it's actually, so-and-so. Then they can take that information, and most likely all you have to do is go to LinkedIn, and you can find, the name, probably their email address, or there's other tools to find email addresses. And now that if I know Susan or whoever is the actual correct person that works in accounting for this company, I can create then a spear phishing campaign against her and just go after her directly. Because if she writes the checks, if I can get her to pay a fake invoice or wire fake money, I know that she has the authorization to do it. So you just have to be very careful. And I tell people, I was like, it's crazy to think that we live in this type of world, but with the term being kind of coined out there called zero trust, it's almost something that you have to do. If you don't know these people that are calling or emailing you, you almost have to go into kind of a zero trust mindset, and then make them kind of earn the trust through validation. So.
Got you. All right, guys, just to let you know, for a time standpoint, we have about 10 more minutes, so I'm gonna get through the rest of our slides here, and then if you guys have any questions, feel free to start typing those up or get ready to ask them verbally. So
I can kind of speed through this to make sure we have time for some questions. So really, I mean, they say why small to medium-sized businesses, because they are the ones that are, kind of the target of the majority of the attacks. And it's because of these reasons. There's just, hackers know small businesses, have smaller budgets to deploy, higher level cybersecurity solutions. And even if they had the budget, most of them have the wrong mindset. Kind of going back to my book, and the reason I wrote it is because you just constantly hear, well, that's never happened to me, so it's not going to happen, or I'm too small, or we don't have anything a hacker would want in the first place. And I always tell people, I was like, you may be right. The hackers probably don't care what you have. What they do know is that you care about what you have. And if they can get access to it and encrypt it through ransomware, or steal it, or fool you into, sending them your hard-earned money, that's their goal. It's all about extortion. It's not really about stealing data so much as it is the money side of it. Because the days of them getting into the computer and causing just annoying pop-ups, those days are long gone. Once they figured out they can make money doing this stuff, that's what it's all about.
all right.
So the way I see it, there's three areas of building a cyber program, for your business. So you have the technology that most people have, that your IT people have deployed for you. That is your firewall, that is your antivirus software, that's, making sure that Windows and all the Microsoft software and other programs.
Any antivirus that you recommend?
I mean, there's a lot of good ones out there, to be honest.
Kaspersky,
good. We use WebRoot for all of our clients, but there's so many out there that do a really good job, and there's more advanced ones coming out that where they're mixing in artificial intelligence and machine learning to really analyze what's going on with the computer. Instead of just looking at the files, they're actually looking at behavior of the computer being used. And if that doesn't meet a certain profile, you can get locked out. So there's some really, really interesting technology coming. But yeah, I mean, the McAfee's, Kaspersky's, WebRoot, Sophos, I mean, all those guys do a really great job at, endpoint protection / antivirus. You can get more advanced technology through cyber monitoring that actually acts as a real-time monitor. It's watching the traffic coming in from the internet. It's watching the traffic going out to the internet from your local computers. And if there's anything abnormal or malicious looking in that traffic, your IT people can be alerted, and then they can take action and get that remediated. So if you face any type of compliance, if you're in the financial, healthcare, or any industry where you're dealing with some really sensitive information, some of those more advanced solutions are really needed in today's world. The second one is around the human piece. We've talked a lot about email phishing. We've talked about social engineering and now the phone hacking. Now there's text message hacking, where they're sending kind of spam through text messages. I think I learned not too long ago that I think there's over 86 million fake Facebook accounts solely for the purpose of, hacking and trying to friend you and take information through social media because it's kind of seen as a trusted platform. So what you want to do is make sure if you're not getting training for your staff, through your IT company or some other type of method, having a training program in place is honestly just as important as the technology, because if you don't train people and you don't teach them what to look out for, teach them how to verify things, teach them how to slow down, you can have all the technology in the world and it would be the same as having the most secure house in the world, but just leaving the front door open. So it's just definitely something to look into. Training can be really effective in creating that human firewall and keeping the business, even more protected. And then the insurance, which we spoke a little bit about, it's kind of that rainy day thing to where, nothing is bulletproof. If anyone ever comes up and says they have a solution that's hack proof or 100%, eliminate all threats, then they're basically lying. It just is what it is. Somebody can always hack something. So having that insurance kind of in your back pocket, the same way you have homeowners insurance and you have car insurance, if either one of those assets were to get burglarized, then you have that insurance to help you kind of offset, some of the financial loss involved. Well, cybersecurity insurance is the same thing, for your business. So if you get robbed by a cyber criminal, you'll be able to recoup some of that funds. And in some cases, that might be what actually keeps you in business. And then the last stat, 84% all start from the inside. So again, it just kind of goes back to, having trained people, through various ways of, awareness strategies. It's having the right policies, the right procedures in place that people are following, making sure that your IT company, whoever that is that you use, they're doing what they're supposed to do. There's horror stories out there now that, IT companies are becoming a really big target of hackers because they know if they can hack an IT company, they have access to a lot of people. And unfortunately, it's happened in some cases. So it's just making sure that as a business owner, that you're considering all this and you're making sure that, your staff, who you outsource, it doesn't even necessarily your IT vendor, but other vendors that might have access to some of your sensitive information, maybe an outsourced payroll company, outsourced HR company. All these people have sensitive information on you and your employees. So you want to make sure that they're doing their due diligence and making sure that they're protecting your information the way that they should. because if they get hacked and your people's information get leaked out, maybe their identity gets stolen, that will come back on you. So you just want to make sure that you're asking the right questions and you're having those sometimes can be a little bit more difficult of a conversation to have, but we're in a time where you really need to do that to kind of help safeguard your business. That's it.
Jason, man, this was great. For those of you that are watching and not on your phones, this is Jason's contact information. Rorie, JRORIE at triadsecure.com. For those of you that are listening on your phones, triadsecure.com is the website, and then 281-653-7726. Again, 281-653-7726 if you have any specific questions. And then he also sent it out via chat as well. So I guess what I'm gonna stop sharing here and see if anybody has any questions, either verbally they want to ask before we sign off here. You can unmute yourselves if you like. Everybody's going to change their password, so they're busy.
Yeah.
So, any questions, guys? Oh, you were that thorough, Jason. I think everybody's changing their passwords from ABC123 to something a little bit more complicated. So, well, if you guys don't have any additional questions, I'm going to allow either Juliet or Carrie or Ryan, if you guys have anything you want to add to this, then please let us know. Thank you we just got a comment saying this was a great meeting. I appreciate it. Try to be respectful of you guys' time. It's 12:58 as well. But yeah, Juliet, Carrie, any add-ons?
Yeah, thank y'all so much. This was very informative. I would like to let everyone know that we are uploading this information, the PowerPoint and video, to our business and professional page on our website. So if you want to rewatch it or go through the PowerPoint for some information that Jason has provided, we'll get that uploaded within 48 hours. So check out our website, fortbendchamber.com, for that information. And thank y'all again so much. This was very informative.
Yes.
Juliet, on Thursday, we have the CARES Act at noon. So
Correct.
Tune into that. That's going to be important information about the stimulus act that has just been passed.
Translation, where the money is, everybody.
Where the money is, that's right.
Yeah. Anything, Ryan, you good?
Good. Thanks, Jason. Thanks, Kevin.
Welcome.
Jason, any final comments to make us feel, I don't know, that I don't have to, like, I'm literally over here like,
Secure.
yes, I'm literally over here like, man, I got some work to do.
Yeah. No, I mean, no final words. Just, stay safe, stay secure. Crazy world, especially right now. We're going through a crazy time. The hackers know it. So just, just stay safe out there and just slow down a little bit. Pay attention to what's going on, and we'll all get through this, both professionally, personally, and in the cyber world.
Awesome. Again, Jason's contact information. He's the founder, chief security officer for Triad Cybersecurity. It's triadsecure.com. The website. Am I saying your last name correct? Is it Rorie? Yeah. Rorie at triadsecure.com. And again, the phone number is 281-653-7726. And again, this will be posted within 48 hours on the Chamber's website as well. So again, guys, thank you so much for logging on. Come back Thursday to learn about if you know someone that may possibly need some of the stimulus package, this $2 trillion stimulus package that was just approved last week. And I know there are some business owners out there that are wondering how they're going to make payroll and do some other things. So I think that'll be critical information for us. So thank you guys again, as always, and we will see you on Thursday, hopefully.
Thanks. You.
Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Talk to you guys soon.
All right, I'll be in touch because I'm nervous.
Okay. I'll be looking for an email from you.
All right, bro. Talk to you later.
All right. Bye-bye.